Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with Dusty Harris from the Challenge USA, who was eliminated in the arena by Wes on Sunday night's episode. Dusty, you showed up to this challenge expecting to take on other CBS reality show contestants, and then 6 All-Stars showed up, and you maybe looked more thrilled than anyone about that. What was it like to see them arrive on those jet skis?
I'll tell you, standing in Croatia on the dock and you start hearing these engines rev, in my mind, I'm looking around. I'm like, it doesn't seem like there's enough people here to compete in this. What is going to be the crux of the beginning of this challenge? And lo and behold, you look back and you see 6 of the baddest people to ever compete in this game pull up on jet skis. And so, as a fan of the show, I'm like, this has got interesting now. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm like, shit, now I have to deal with these guys. I'm feeling pretty good about the rest of the people around me. And now I have these legends coming in. But as a fan, you got to be excited. It's like, I'm going to get to pit my skills against the best of the best, arguably ever do this. And I'm like, well, if they didn't have a target on their back already, pulling up on jet skis ought to help pull some heat off me and aim it towards these guys. Kind of surreal, to be honest. I mean, what better way to do it though than rev them in, and what better 6 to bring in to create havoc against us CBS folks?
Well, you caught some flack for quickly aligning with them, but to be fair, how did you feel going into this? Because you were one of 2 amazing race players. They didn't. It seemed like you were the underdog from the beginning. So was this, do you think, a smart game move for you to align with them, or was your back against the wall the whole time, no matter what?
So yeah, I mean, walking in with just Lewis from The Amazing Race, there's 2 of us against, big personalities, people, and then we really are immediately realized that this Hopper thing is in play. There's secret votes involved. So I'm like, not only are we up against, a uphill battle, but this is kind of playing into these other shows hands, like secret voting. That's Big Brother and Survivor. So more put against us. My goal was never to align with anyone like right out of the gate. I kept telling Lewis, I was like, man, we need to stay under the radar as possible, float with the dust at the bottom of the ocean floor, and then make a decision. He had just gone on vacation with Alyssa Lopez, had a friendship there. Respect that totally. I just felt like I looked at 2 totem poles in this game, whereas there was the vet totem pole of 6 people, basically 7, bringing in some of the guys that were in. And then you look at the rookie total poll where there's like 18 of them. I felt like the vets needed me more to keep numbers to try to balance this out. It was going to give me a better chance to go longer in the game, where I would have just been a pawn anytime on the rookie side. Lewis and I are not from Big Brother and Survivor. There's too many of them. And I was like, I felt like we were needed more on this side. And at this point, it's now where I'm starting to realize I have to make a decision who I'm going to work with. Because at this, about up to just for elimination, I'm like, I'm still floating, but I have to make a decision. You're going to get picked off. And so that was the decision to be made. I just felt like it gave me the best chance. And really, the blue team started running away with this, and it was very vet heavy. So I felt like I had that protection on the back end. And my goal was to beat Wes and go defect and go to blue. And then we really had numbers to make a run to either the end finale or when, if something is going to change or shake up in this, which I would assume it usually does. That was the goal, get to that.
Yeah. And you brought up Lewis and Alyssa, who were friends before the show. So Lewis had these other connections. I spoke with Lewis and Alyssa, and both of them had a couple things to say about you. Because Lewis, he was disappointed that he didn't feel like you really stood up for him when his name was going around when he got put up for elimination. You threw in a vote for Monty that was sort of a throwaway vote. Alyssa said you're up the vets' asses. I mean, so how do you respond to those 2 accusations?
So the vote, we'll just get this off the table first. Lewis had conversations with multiple people on my team, letting them know that he had voted for them. There was no swaying these people's opinion. You see when the deliberation starts how insanely intense it is. The words that I got to speak out were basically all that was said on my end, because it was Josh arguing with all of the girls at the table about how this is going to proceed. And so that grave was made. I had said my 2 names. We were all good with working that. And then it turns into a shit show. I wasn't going to say anyone else's names that, these girls on this team that I'm starting to realize are working against me are going to go use against me in the house. Nothing would have happened. And it wasn't shown. We agreed to go to a stalemate. I was the 3rd person that said, let's do it. Not aired. That's fine. I was at this point, I would rather not win these dailies and not have to deal with this and just take my chances with the hopper than having to go through this. It was the most chaotic thing I've ever been through in my entire life. I remember looking at Corey one point. We're sitting at the end of the table, like, what have we gotten ourselves into? I'm just like, I feel so bad for you. You got moved on to this chaotic team.
Well, as a fan of the show, I have to imagine, if nothing else, it had to have checked off something on your bucket list to go into that arena against Wes and compete with him one-on-one. What was it like when your name was called out of the hopper and you had to go down there and compete?
So you see seven balls with your name on it. It's funny. I woke up, this was after my blow up on Tiffany, and anyone that watches the challenge, it is no secret. You cause a scene in the house, you're probably going to go dance with the devil. And so, no pun intended, I'm literally getting in here with the redheaded savage himself, one of the best to ever do this business in eliminations. But when I stepped over the rope, man, I felt absolutely confident that I was going to wipe the floor with him. I knew it was a balance challenge. I knew there was some strength involved, and these things are playing right into my wheelhouse. I felt good. I felt like I did enough. I felt like my strategy was the right strategy. I thought I won. I think you can see the look on every single cast member's face. They thought I won. You got Bananas hugging Wes goodbye in a pool of slop. Um, and then I hear the word 37 seconds, and I kind of know I'm like, man, I didn't think it was as close as 37 seconds. I'm thinking I beat him by minutes. Did I lose this? And then lo and behold, TJ drops the ball that I just didn't get it done. And, it sucks. But if I were to lose, I lost to a legend in the game, a guy that's really good at this, a guy that's eliminated a lot of people. And 37 seconds separated me from beating one of the best to ever do it. And I think if we set this thing up again, I would beat him 10 out of 10 times.
Let's talk about the blow up with Tiffany a little bit. What is it like to watch yourself back on TV when these things happen? Because you're accusing her of voting for you. She voted for Sebastian, which you now know. So you're sort of mad at her for something she never did. And I'm sure that happens a lot what is it like to watch these things play out? And what do you learn about the game that you didn't know that when you were there?
So, I mean, in my journal, I left my house to leave for the challenge, I wrote down a couple of things that are going to help me win the show. And the first thing is to take a deep breath and analyze the situation before you get into an altercation. I am literally lacing my shoes up. This is 2 a.m. when Tiffany's walking down the hallway to come have this conversation. I'm trying to get out to go work out to let the steam off. I'm like, I'm going to do this in the morning on a level head. Lo and behold, it doesn't happen. And so what caused my anger, they don't really show this to the build up to this, is every daily competition that Tiff and I were in, we basically worked together. And I did a lot to help Tiffany, not to take anything away from her, but like swimming, I was pulling her through the water. The challenges between the semis, I was making sure that I was grabbing her disc to put them on. It was like, I felt like we had this good working relationship and that like I had her back. And so the night before that elimination, I had a conversation with Alyssa Lopez where she basically approached me and said, listen, if you don't vote for me, I'll keep 3 balls off of you. And so in my mind, I thought I was going to catch 1 ball from Desi for a vote I put on her previous retaliatory shot. Let's work past this. Let's get past it. Hopefully the hopper doesn't put me in. I see 4 balls. And so immediately that's what comes into my head. I'm going to keep 3 votes off you. 1 plus 3 is 4. As I stated, man, I have a temper. The way I've been brought up, how I grew up, I mean, I've come from the gutter, and it's no secret I have a temper. And so it got the best of me, and it jeopardized my game. I truly think if I could have just got outside, blew the steam off, worked out, and then had a conversation in the morning, it probably wouldn't have been a great conversation, but it would have been a lot better of a conversation than what was had. And so I did apologize to Tiffany the next morning profusely. Not that I didn't think that she still voted me in at the time, but just how I communicated, there's better ways to do so. I did call her after all this as well, and I've amply apologized on everything I've been on. It's not the way to speak to people, and so it's not a good look for me. I'm ashamed of what it looked like. I was pissed off though, and I thought I had a reason to be mad. I swung and I missed, and I looked like an asshole, and I looked like an idiot, and it's something that I'm going to learn from. It's something I'm going to grow from as an individual and as a person, not as a challenger, but it's going to make me a better challenger when I come back. I know it will.
And you competed on The Amazing Race with your buddy Ryan Ferguson, and I thought you guys were going to win that show. What's it like to come? What's the biggest difference between that and this show with all these politics? And how badly do you want to come back to the challenge? And if you can, maybe drag Ryan with you so you have an ally, another tough guy to bring on this show.
So yeah, the Amazing Race. Nothing can prepare you for the challenge, in my opinion, because every single season of the challenge, they're going to do something to get you on your heels. I 100% more than anything in the world want to come back and compete on the challenge. It's this. I didn't come on this to do this one time. I came on this to try to make a run at this to win a few of these things. I know physically I can compete with the best of them. I did it. I can handle puzzles with the best of them. I'm great at trivia as long as I'm not really sweaty stuck on a piece of glass. If I can keep what's going on between my ears in check, I will. It's not if, I will win the challenge. And you guys better bet your asses if I get to bring Ryan on this thing with me, they didn't call us oil and vinegar for no reason on the Amazing Race. He's a docile guy until you rile him up, but he's a guy that can keep me in check. And if I could have someone that could just help me not argue with people and like see through the nonsense and just take a second to analyze what you're about to do, I'm a dangerous person in the game. I think Johnny Bananas may be mad that I would have a new favorite crush in the house, Ryan, and not him. So I don't know how Bananas would take it. He'd probably be heartbroken.
Well, I would love to see that happen, and I love the
So
competitive.
would Ryan. So would
The
Ryan.
competitive edge. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see you and Ryan together come back. Dusty, you were one of just two amazing race players. You didn't have a web of alliances entering the game, and you almost pulled off that arena win. So congratulations on what you accomplished, and we hope to see you back out there soon.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.